Hello everyone. Well, all the one of you. I'm Rue today, Live the Night, or RTDLTN for those who like acronyms. And I'm going to talk about labels today. And not like food labels, but instead I'm going to talk about the very human tendency of labeling people based on a small fraction of their personality. Say, just because you believe that everyone should be equal, you're a feminist, or you believe that everyone is less worth than you because they have a different skin color, then you're a racist. Or you believe the opposite and then you're anti-racist, or you're anti-progress or anti-feminist, and all those different labels we have for each other. And I have thought about it, and I think that in the long run of things, these labels we put on each other will be part of the downfall of the modern culture of acceptance and rational thinking. See, okay, humankind has always been moving forward towards this more accepting culture, especially in the Western world. We move from accepting slavery as a common practice, viewing different people as chattel to be used as working animals, and then we discarded that, and then we started to paint other peoples, such as people of different religions, as worse individuals based on that merit. And of course, that's a label. You're black, you're worse than us. But also, today it has gone a bit too far. Today it's essentially the opposite. We're too prone to give people labels such as you're a racist just because they have disillusioned or deluded views on certain aspects of people of color, for example. And while I think that everyone should be accepted and live their life to their choosing if it doesn't harm other people, I do think that the tendency to label each other will be part of the downfall of modern culture of acceptance. Because when you label each other, let's take the example of a very common label today, feminism. That label is very quick to bring a lot of nuanced thought, especially in Sweden, where it's commonplace to be nothing but a feminist. You can be an asshole, but you're a feminist. You can hate absolutely everyone, but you're a feminist. And I think this creates a very, very strong us and them mentality among those that maybe have a nuanced view of things, or may just not like being shoved into the category where you're told that just because you think this or that, you subscribe to this idea. And I think that's a big fault among modern society, or Western culture. We have created this us and them mentality against everyone that do not necessarily agree with us. We've created this dichotomy of, for example, either you agree completely with us, or you're completely against us. This is very commonplace, at least in Sweden, where any dissenting opinion from the narrative of everyone's a feminist will essentially make you a pariah among more common groups of people. You keep this dissenting opinion, which essentially makes people think you're an asshole, and say, okay, Let me take an example, an anecdote, so to say. I really like that word. I was in school the other day. Actually, no, I wasn't. I was in school a day, and I said, I do not call myself a feminist. And it was kind of uncomfortable, because eyes turned to me, and more than one person asked, how can you say that? What are you then? Do you not like that women have equal rights? And I say, of course I do. I think that everyone should have equal rights in society. But this more or less happened. I was told to explain myself. What are you? And I said, I just don't know. I don't like subscribing to different ideals that I may not fully agree with. See, there's a common narrative, at least in Sweden, that the patriarchal system of oppression towards everyone that isn't straight and white exists flawlessly, and if you don't fight against it, then you support it completely. And I don't. I think that everyone should be allowed to play on the playing field, and that you should, based on your merits, fulfill the role that you want to, if you're able to. Now, when I said this, people said, well, that's what feminism wants, isn't it? You say that you do believe in equality, but you also say that you're not a feminist. How does this work? And I said, I just don't like subscribing to a viewpoint that I may not agree with completely. And that's fair now. I think it's completely fair to say, I don't agree with you completely, but we want the essential same goal, at least in a majority of the issues we face in society. And also I get is, well, why aren't you a feminist? Because today, and it is hard for a lot of people to understand, today you have to subscribe to a label, at least an idea, an ideology that easily corresponds with a commonplace simple label such as feminist or racist. Because if you don't, people will have to discuss your opinions. People will have to try to understand you on a more basic level than just, oh, you're a racist, you hate everyone that isn't pale, sweet with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I don't think people nowadays want to have that communication with opposing views. People are more prone to make an echo chamber of agreement with each other. Everyone that disagree with you are just assholes because they disagree with you, and because you subscribe to the idea that everyone should be accepted into Sweden without fault, and those that do not, they are racist. So instead of facing them in discussion, you go, oh my god, you're a racist, please get out of my sight. Now, back to the anecdote. I did explain myself, and luckily I have really, really nice friends that understood that, yeah, maybe he does think that everyone should be equal in society, regardless of the gender. And maybe he just doesn't want to be called feminism. But there was this one girl. Yeah, I won't tell her name, of course. And she said, well, I do not quite remember how the topic came to start, but I essentially said that the reason why I do not want to be associated with modern day feminism is because the vocal minority is so vocal, so extreme in their belief that they're oppressed and everyone is out to get them, that in the large scale of things, they will not accomplish anything. And they will only damage the gender relationship that I think is getting much, much better than it was just 10 years ago. Now, 10 years ago I was 8 years old, so I wouldn't know. But I have memories of things being okay. I mean, I never really played with toys in general, but when I did, I was drawn towards more male-ish toys, and well, sometimes I play with dolls, and sometimes I didn't. And that was accepted. And people rarely went against me and criticized me when I did, or criticized my parents as being lacking. Now, I think that everyone should be able to do what they're fit to do if they want to be. If a man has the merit to be teacher, then by all means, if there's a position for him, then he should get it. The same with the woman. They should also have equal pay. Now, I do not call myself a feminist, because I do not like subscribing myself to labels or movements that I may not fully agree with, or whether I find this a toxic culture that may damage what they're trying to accomplish. See, niceness and politeness has disappeared in Western culture of ideological discussions, because people are much quicker to just write someone off as an asshole or douchebag just because of their opinion, or just because they have decided that the person they're discussing with is labeled as someone else, for example, asshole or racist, or maybe for the anti-feminist out there, you don't want to discuss with a feminist because, yeah, they're not to be discussed with. But this breaks down so quickly, and it will contribute so much to the slow destruction of modern culture of hush, no discussion politics. Now, I speak from a Swedish perspective, and I haven't written a lot, but essentially, in Swedish politics, we are very quick to never ever discuss anything, and even hush down in the discussion of differences between people. Unless, of course, you're going to accuse someone of being, for example, racist or misogynist. And this breaks down when it comes to rational discussion. And it breaks down rational discussion. And this upsets me, and it actually doesn't worry me, because in the long run of things, the human virtue of rationality has always won. Even though it's in the long run of things, people are smart. People know that they make mistakes or that they're wrong, even if it's in the long run of things, and even if it's just a minority. People aren't stupid enough to keep pushing the same bullshit if it doesn't work. And those that do continue to push it, they fail because the general majority turns away from it. And it's very apparent in Sweden. People are more and more annoyed of the usage of racist as an excuse to disregard for the most prominent party being the Swedish party. Sverigedemokraterna, the Sweden Democrats. And they're disregarded as racist, but people are starting to get annoyed by it, because it doesn't allow any discussion. Now, before I finish off, I want to make a distinction between labels and, air quotes, labels. There's, of course, there are labels that are necessary as humans. We label some people as Swedish because they're from Sweden or live in Sweden. Or we label someone as having a pale skin as being white. Of course, it may be crude to just say, oh, they're white, but it's still a accurate description of reality. They're pale, and we have decided that we call pale people as white people. Now, whether people find those, whether people see stereotypes associated with the whiteness as racist or not, that's not the matter. The matter of fact is that people are different, and we will undoubtedly categorize them as different with the use of labels such as white, or black, or woman, or transsexual, or asshole. I just like the word assholes. There's a lot of assholes in the world, you know. Regardless, these are labels that I found necessary for a existence as humans, and it's a natural consequence of our inquisitive mind, our mind that is always out to categorize and make matter of things, understand the how of things, basically. And we do this. We love categorizing shit. I mean, we categorize animals, we categorize plants, we categorize lamps. Yeah, there's different kind of lamps that we've categorized. But then there's the labels of what I call labels of accusation and labels of broad strokes. And these are the labels that doesn't explain anything really about the person except their association, even if it's just a vague association, with a worldview, or the association with political movement, or even if it's just a vague association with people with an ideology. And these are things such as feminism or racism, and I guess socialist and such. But the thing is, while these are necessary, I will not deny that they can be used to stereotype people, not based on their physical appearance or heritage, but on the loose association with a worldview. And this can be damaging to any political or ideological debate, or even as discussion, because you can just dismiss anything they say with a wave of the hand, saying, well, you just believe that because you're a feminist, or you just believe that because you're socialist, or you're just a racist, so you do not understand the plight of black people. And these labels, I think, should not be discarded, because if someone wants to call himself a feminist, then by all means they should. But they should stop being the explanation for or excuse for a whole worldview or a whole outlook on certain questions, because this will lead nowhere in the long term of things. And I mean, this is never going to happen, but I know that I will continue to believe this, and I will continue. If I'm asked, are you a feminist or are you a racist, or what do you think of this, I would say, well, we can talk about it if you're willing to listen. But no, I'm not a racist, I'm not a feminist. I may be an asshole that hates a lot of things, but I'm not a racist. And this got long-winded, but this isn't scripted. This isn't scripted. I can script things, but I'm not going to. Not today. As for that, I would remake my thoughts on labels, because honestly, the video where I was just rambling about was crap.